Hey guys, I'm Matt Willis and welcome back to On The Mend. This is the podcast where we look back to move forward. Season 3 is among us and it means a lot to me. It means a hell of a lot to me, this podcast. I want it to work more than anything, but I'm scared too. I am pumped to be back, but I'm not a guru. I'm learning just like you. And this episode is all about that feeling, fear of failure. Before we dive in, I just want to say, guys, thank you so much for spending this time with us. It means so much to us that you guys tune in and listen. It really is exactly what this is about. You know, it's all about you. So thank you so much for tuning in. The best way to stay connected is to hit follow. I've heard on other podcasts, remember to hit follow, I'm like, why do they keep banging on about that? And the reason is it helps the podcast so much. Like it allows us, the more people that follow the podcast, the bigger the podcast gets, the more it allows us to get better guests, to kind of everything about the podcast expands. So if you can, right now, please hit follow. It really helps us out. Okay, so today I'm talking about fear of failure. This is a biggie, a massive one. And it's showing up for me right now. Brand new season, big hopes, feel a bit of pressure. We got a new studio, we got a whole new team. It's like we are cooking right now. And it's, I don't know, with that, you should be kind of like, oh yeah, we're killing it. But like, I don't know, like there's this other voice that goes, oh, don't muck up. Who are you to be doing this? All those kind of things that come in. It's really, it's really strong sometimes. And I have learned different ways of dealing with that feeling. And today we're going to be talking about it. But before we do, we're going to get into what we do every week, which is gratitude list. So my gratitude list is 3 things I'm grateful for. Do you know what? I'm very grateful. I got called into my kids' school, right? They emailed me and asked me to go in and do a performance workshop with some of the kids. They do this like festival at the end of the year. And all the kids get together and they make bands and they do performances and people sing. And I've been to see that show quite a few times, right? And I just see these kids get up and they're terrified and they hold onto the mic for dear life. And they and so they invited me in to do a performance workshop. I don't know where this came from. I was like, have I said something to them to make them do this? Have I said something in passing? It doesn't sound like me. I'll probably keep it to myself. But they invited me down and I got to work with most of the kids in a kind of workshop capacity. And it was amazing. I think sometimes like kids need such little encouragement, and sometimes from an outside voice. It's amazing what can happen. I saw these kids go from, terrified, shy, not knowing what to do, into mini rock stars. I got them, literally the first thing I did was like, right, put that mic stand away. That mic stand is death. Put it away, hold the mic in your hand and let's go for it. I had them all jumping up and down, screaming at the top of their lungs. If they could have stage dived, they would. It was such a good day. We had such fun. And I watched the show and I saw them all doing it. They all kind of like just went for it. And before we started, right, I said, what are you most scared of? And all of them said, looking silly in front of my mates. That fear of failure coming back again, failing in front of your peer group, that's massive at school, and it's massive for everyone, it's such a plays such a big part in our life. So that I was really, really grateful for. I was grateful for the kids being enthusiastic, being stoked to be there. Some of them stayed for the whole thing. They didn't need to. And it was just awesome. And it made me feel good. I'm not going to lie. I felt awesome. I was like, wow, we're doing something together and we're helping each other. It's wicked. It's such a great thing to be a part of. So anyway, that was a lot of talk for number 1. Right. Number 2 is my health. I'm taking it quite seriously at the moment. I don't know what it is, right? I'm 42. And since hitting 40, I was like, I need to really like be around in the best way I can for as long as I can, and I've done quite a lot of stuff in my life which has damaged my body. And I wanted to change that. How can I do that? how can I look after my health in the most optimal way for me? Not the optimal way for an athlete, not the optimal way for, some bodybuilder, but like for me, what do I want? And I've really kind of looked into that, and I've been really targeting it, and it's going really well. I feel really good. Everything's going in the right way. I get my blood tested. It's all looking really good. So I'm really happy about that. My current health routine, I take heights. I take vitals for brain energy, sleep. I take biotic for all kind of gut health and immune system. And I take hydrate, which is Heights' new electrolyte drink. That's kind of it.
What flavour is the electrolyte drink that you take?
I drink the peach one. It's nice. There's a mango one, which is also very nice, but I like the peach one. To be honest, I heard about Vitals first, but then when I got Vitals, I also ordered their probiotic because I've always wanted to take a probiotic, and I'd never really bothered with it before or been consistent with it. I mean, it's a bit gross, but it helps everything to do with your gut, right? So like your gut is your second brain. It does so much for your body. I honestly think everyone would benefit from this. Your brain health will improve. You'll kind of feel a bit clearer, and your gut health will improve. And also, I think I suffer with getting enough electrolytes. So to know when I'm drinking water, I'm getting electrolytes in, that's a big for me. To get everything, just head to heights.com/OTM and use the code OTM20 to get 20% off your first subscription. I'm really, really grateful for being fit and healthy today, because I know a lot of people aren't. And I think sometimes when you're in that position, when you're kind of like, when all you want is health, I feel very grateful to have it. So I'm very grateful to be fit and healthy today. And that leads me to my third one. I've said it a lot on this podcast, but I'm very, very, very grateful to be clean and sober. It's 8 years now, and that number isn't lost on me. I was 8 years when I relapsed last, and that was the most traumatic thing that's happened to me in the last, 20 years, and happened to my family, and so when I hit 8 years last time, I wasn't doing any work. I wasn't working in recovery. I wasn't working on my recovery. I wasn't doing anything. I wasn't doing all the things I was told to that would help me. And this time I am, and I'm even more active in it than I've ever been. And I'm so, so grateful to be clean and sober today. Guys, let me know yours. Please let us know what your gratitude list is. I love reading them. I really do read them, and I love hearing what you're grateful for. It can be massive, it can be tiny, it can be anything, but I love hearing from you guys. So please write in. Right, I was listening to Simon Sinek the other day. I love that guy. If you haven't heard him, check him out. There's so many videos out there with him. He's on so many different podcasts as well. I'm a big fan. And he was talking about fear of failure, and it actually being a primal thing, right? And that really stunned me when he was talking about it, because we are tribal animals, right? We kind of evolved very quickly from a cave, right? Where we kind of lived in these little tribes. And if you failed within that tribe, you'd be ostracized from the tribe, you'd be kicked out, which meant death, right? You'd get eaten by a saber-toothed tiger or something, But now it means, I don't know, if you fail, we get what's comparable, less likes on a post or something, or we don't quite get the promotion that we wanted, or we might look silly in front of someone we don't want to look silly in front of. But our brains are hardwired still for that feeling of that's going to cause death. So we are hardwired to fear failure. It's so mad when you think about it like that. We have evolved so quickly from that thing, but still our brains are still very much attached to it. I think so much of our life and opportunities are missed through fear. We miss out on so many things because we're too scared to go for it, right? Your fear has convinced you that it's safer to do nothing than to risk making the wrong move, which is so true for me. I think recently I've tried something a bit different. I say recently, the last couple of years, I've been running towards things that scare me. Right, which sounds a bit mad, but I'm not running towards traffic or anything. I'm running towards things that I'm normally would go, no, because it's fear, and is it a rational fear or not? Or am I just scared I'm not going to be able to do that? I'm not going to be able to deliver on that, and I've been running towards them, so if I'm asked to do something, or if something comes up in my life and my instant gut reaction is no through fear, then I have to do it, which is, not always successful, but most of the time I learn something through that process, which has been amazing, almost transformative at times, doing the most ridiculous things. I remember the first time I did an ice bath, I didn't want to do it because I didn't want to have to get out after 3 seconds and look silly in front of everybody, but I thought, no, that means you've got to do it. Now I'm obsessed with them. I love it. So and I've gained so much from that process, and I still fear it every time I get in. I'm terrified of getting in. I hate it. The thought of it is like if there was one now, I'd be scared to go in. But for some reason, I get in there and I come out a better person. It's wild. When I think about recently running towards things I'm scared of, right? I was asked to, sorry, by the way, golf alert. But I was asked to go on a golf YouTube channel, right, called Golf Life. And I've watched this channel. And everyone's brilliant, and they asked me to come on, and I was like, no, you're going to look stupid. You're going to look terrible. You're going to, your first tee shot, you'll be terrible. It'll, you'll fluff it. You'll be embarrassed. It'll be awful. People will take the piss out of you forever. All those things went through my head. And I just went, oh, that means you got to do it. Oh, and it pained me. I took so long to reply. And then I replied, yep, I'll be there. And I went on this thing, right? And I had the most amazing time. One, I played pretty good, Two, I met some really interesting people. We had amazing chats, like really kind of deep, informative talks. It was an awesome experience. I loved it, and I wouldn't have done that. I would have missed out on that awesome experience because I was too scared to do it. And I'm so glad that I went, oh, you're scared to do it. That means you got to do it. We really learn from these things, right? Because I'm trying to reframe things. I'm trying to reframe failure as growth, which is a big statement, right? Because failure is terrifying, but failure doesn't mean that you're a failure. Failing doesn't mean you're a failure. It just means you didn't work, but that doesn't make you a failure. You can disassociate that failure from your identity, which is what I've done in the past. I've been like, I'm a failure, when actually it didn't work. What did I learn from that? And we can move forward. There's a saying that I love, which is, it's about progress, not perfection, right? And my kids are so sick to the teeth of me saying this, right? But I will say, what does practice make? And they go, progress. Well, actually they don't. They go, progress. Because they're really bored of me saying it. But I love saying it, because it's so true, right? At school, everywhere I was always taught, practice makes perfect. Perfect is unachievable, and you will constantly be searching for it, But if you can see progress, then it's worth it, right? And it got me thinking why I was so funny about this in my kids, right? Is because when I think back to my childhood and me growing up, I would purposely not practice. I would purposely not put the amount of effort that something deserved into something because I was scared of failing, having known I'd tried, which is so bizarre, right? I'd rather fail on my own terms going, well, I didn't practice enough, or I didn't give it everything I could. If I could have, it would have worked. It's almost like an excuse. I've got an excuse instantly that like, if it didn't work, it's because, I could have tried harder, but I didn't, So I don't know. I mean, it's not even blaming yourself. It's literally having an excuse within yourself. It's so bizarre that I would do that. And I did that for so long, and that's I think because of practice makes perfect. I knew I could never achieve perfect, so I wouldn't even try. Whereas progress, I can attain that. I can attain progress through practice, through putting a bit of effort in. And everything good comes from a little bit of effort. What helps me is I like facts. I worked a lot in therapy about disassociating facts from thoughts. I'd have these thoughts and I think they were real, I believe them, and then I had a guy who literally sat down with me and go, right, is that a fact or is that a thought? And I go, oh, it's a thought. It's not a fact. But I like facts, because facts can really help you. I feel more confident when I've done something and learned from it. It's okay. I've been here before. I've done it. You can do this. It's going to be all right. And the thing is that sometimes you don't know that's running towards things that scare you. But the more proof you have of these things you can do, the more willing you are to try the next one. Talking to mentors has been huge, and when I say mentors, some of those are my mates, some of those are people like, this was my wife, I talk to my barber, he's one of my good mates now, but I talk to him all the time, I talk to these people in my life, who I know are going to give me a straight answer. And sometimes we need to say things out loud to somebody else to hear how ridiculous they are when we say them out loud, because we are in our own head. They can become massive, massive, massive things. When we say them and release them, we can go, oh, that's that, or I can deal with that. And sometimes we need to say it to be able to hear back from somebody, yeah, that's tough. That's going to be hard, because that can inform what you do next. But talking to someone is a massive, massive thing. The more we keep in, the more it will turn into a bigger, bigger, bigger mountain. Also, something that I've learned is that everything doesn't have to make sense right now. I want everything to make sense. I want everything to be perfect and sorted out and be a clean run. But that's not how life goes, right? Everything doesn't need to make sense right now. Some moments grow you, not break you. But they are tough when you're in them. But looking back, you might just be glad that you're in it. The last one is a toughie, but it's trust the process. There is, if I think too far ahead about things, I can catastrophize it beyond belief, and I'm not even a quarter of the way towards that yet. Of course I'm catastrophizing that, because if I had to do it now, it'd be a disaster. But I need to trust the process that I'm in to get there. Trusting the process is a massive thing. And there are processes you can follow for lots of things, including recovery from all kinds of illnesses, from all kind of mental health issues. There are processes you can follow, and they do work, but you have to trust them and you have to go along with them. When I think about this season, especially of On the Mend, and why fear of failure is coming into play so much, I think I'm scared it won't land. Right? But I'm doing it anyway, which is about running towards things that scare you, right? I care so much about this podcast. I want it to help people feel seen, and when I hear back from you, it means so much to me. So please keep getting in contact with me. Please walk this journey with us. We're building something here. We're trying to build a community. It's exciting, but we need you in it, and we want to hear from you. So please get in touch. DM me your own story of failure and what you learned from it. I'd love to share some on the podcast. I think closing this episode up, right, is that fear is part of growth. Whether you like it or not, it just is, right? Failing doesn't mean you're broken. It means you're trying. Guys, thank you so much for being part of On the Mend. Please hit follow and keep in touch at on.the.men.podcast. And as always, if you or someone you know is struggling, I want you to know that you're not alone. There are lots of ways out there to help you. We've listed some trusted support services in the show notes. Please go and take a look.